What's going on today, guys? Welcome to the channel. I've been out for a couple weeks. I went on vacation back to my hometown in New Jersey, so I apologize I haven't been posting, but I'm back and you can expect some reviews to be coming at you in the next couple weeks. Today I have a comparison video between the Steinhart Ocean 139, the Nomen exclusive. It's got the 369 Explorer dial, and I also have a San Martin 0004BG, which is another vintage Submariner homage. So those two are going to battle it out. We're going to see which one comes out on top. But without any further ado, let's go ahead, dive down, and get into the video. Alright guys, so here I have the Steinhart Ocean 139, and this is the Nomen exclusive edition. This is with a collaboration between Nomen and Steinhart, and they made this limited production watch. And also on the right here I have the San Martin 0004BG. Both of these watches are paying homage to a vintage Submariner. Obviously different styles, because you can see this Steinhart has the 369, whereas the San Martin has the maxi style dial. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with dial and hands, and we'll start with the Steinhart on this. So the Steinhart, I'm giving a 9 to the dial and the hands. I think they did a really good job. I like the color of the faux patina, and it matches perfectly with the color of the patina on the hands, and it just looks really good. They did a really nice job. I think they used a really good font. It looks very nice, very crisp, very premium, and it definitely doesn't take away from the watch at all. Also, the hands are very nice, very nicely finished. Sorry, the glare is kind of bad right now, but you can see the hands are very nicely finished. Nice gold PVD coating on there, and they just look really good. Nice proportion too. They're the correct length, so that's always good to see. But yeah, just a really nice job on the dial and those hands. So here on the San Martin, I'm giving this an 8. So there's some things that I like better about this, and there's some things that I don't. So I do like the fact that they have applied indices on this. It is a little more premium, but I don't think they did quite as good of a job with everything else. I like the minute track a little better on the Steinhart. I think it just kind of blends a little bit better. It stands out a little too much on the San Martin, but also the writing, I don't like the font as much on the San Martin as I do on the Steinhart. I think the matte black color is a little just better, just blends a little better on the Steinhart. So just like little things like that. And also the hands. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell with my camera here, but the hands on the Steinhart are just have a little bit better finishing. They're a little more rounded at the edges and just look a little cleaner and a little more premium. The ones on the San Martin look kind of a little rough, like they have some sharp edges or something. So you can't really tell unless you're looking very close at these, but just something to point out. But all in all, both very nice dials and very nice handsets. Next up, we have crystal. Steinhart, I'll start with. I'm giving it an 8. It's a very nice piece of crystal. It's double domed sapphire. It has some AR coating. I think it has some blue AR coating on there. And it does a really nice job reducing glare and protecting the watch. And it sits pretty nicely in there. It's not 100% flush, though. It does sit proud just a little bit. But it's a very nice crystal. Nothing bad to say about that. So solid 8. The crystal, however, on the San Martin, I'm going to give a 9 to. It's a top hat crystal. It's also double domed, and it does have some blue AR coating as well. But yeah, this is just a little bit better of a crystal. Top hat versus just regular double domed. It's just a little higher quality, and I think it fits a little bit nicer in the San Martin as well. It also sits proud, but it's because it's a top hat. But I think it sits really nicely in there. So I'm going to give the edge to San Martin on that one. The case and the bezel. So on the San Martin, this is going to get a 7, the case and bezel. It has a nice case. I do like the case. It's a decent shape. I wish it had a little more turned down to the lugs, but it sits on wrist pretty nicely. The only thing that I have a problem with this watch is the thickness. This is a 14 millimeter thick watch, which is a little much, especially considering that they're using the ETA 2824 or Sellita SW200, so it's a thin movement. You can definitely make these thinner, but they choose to make them with 300 meters water resistance, which is awesome if you want to take it diving, but not necessarily necessary. So yeah, I just maybe wish they would have made this a little slimmer, but all in all, it's a great case. The bezel is aluminum, and I did think it might have been ceramic for a little while, but it is aluminum, and it's a very tight bezel. If you watch my review of this, you'll see that I have some trouble with the bezel and turning it, and there is a little bit of a trick to it. You just kind of have to turn it in one little position and go slow, and you can get it fairly easily, but they just make it a little too tight. I just wish they would loosen that up. The San Martin, the case and bezel, to me, get a 9. I love the shape of this case. It's absolutely perfectly shaped, in my opinion. Fits the wrist really nicely, and nice turn down to the lugs there. And it's a 38 millimeter case, so it sits a little bit nicer. Although the Steinhart's 39, it's also a very good size, but 38 is just a little bit better. It's just gonna fit that many more wrist sizes. The one thing that I don't like about this bezel, though, is the color of the faux patina. I think they went a little too mustard-y. I don't know. It's just a little too. It's actually more like a puke yellow. It looks pretty bad. I just don't like the color of the yellow on this. It doesn't match that well with the dial. I think it's a little harsh to say it looks pretty bad. It doesn't look bad. It just doesn't match the dial as well as it should. So, but that's really my only con with that. Next up is the movement. We'll start with the Steinhart, and the Steinhart gets a 9. This is using, I still don't really know whether it's the ETA 2824 or the Sellita SW200 because they use either or, but whichever one it is, they're using the Elabore grade movement, which is adjusted in 5 positions, or wait, is it 3 or 5? I forget. Either 3 or 5 positions. I'm blanking right now, but it is a fantastic movement, very accurate, very reliable, very easy to service, and it's 28,800 beats per hour, so it's a high beat movement. It's just fantastic, and I think in a watch at this price point, this is an unbeatable movement at around that $500 price point. So nice job by Steinhart putting that in there. San Martin, so you can get 2 movements in this. You can either get it with the PT 5000, which is a Chinese clone of the ETA 2824, and it's actually a pretty good movement. It's newer, so it's not as tested as obviously some of these Swiss movements or Japanese movements, but it is an up-and-coming movement, I'll say, and this one isn't running the most accurate, but they've for the most part been running pretty darn accurate, and it's a becoming pretty big rival to the NH35 in terms of movements in the affordable end of the market. So yeah, something to be said about that, but I'm gonna give the PT 5000 a 5 out of 10 because of how unknown it is and the fact that it is, you know, just a Chinese clone of a Swiss movement. So you can also get this with the Sellita SW200, although it is not the Elabore grade, so I'm going to give that an 8. So the Steinhart gets a point more because of that Elabore grade, but Sellita SW200, obviously a fantastic movement, and obviously it's going to cost you more if you want to get the Sellita in the San Martin. Next up, we have bracelets. Again, I'll start with the Steinhart, and this bracelet to me gets a 9. It's a very, very nice bracelet. Nice thick links, polished on the edges, brushed on the top, and solid end links, of course. You have a nice milled clasp, and this clasp gets a lot of hate from people in the community, but I actually kind of like it. I think it's a simple clasp. It's got 4 micro adjusts. It's got that flip lock, which I think it could definitely do without because it is the most cheap feeling part of the watch. So other than that, though, it's a great bracelet. Very well finished, feels really good, feels very solid, and yeah, nothing bad to say about it. San Martin, well, this gets a 10. I think the bracelet on this in this price range is just outstanding. It's such a nice bracelet. It's finished even better than the Steinhart. It's not quite as thick in the links, but that sort of makes it wear a little bit better. And it's very nice, very solid feeling, solid end links, of course. Very smooth, no sharp edges, and you have this San Martin clasp, which is one of, if not my favorite clasp on any watch. It's just a phenomenal clasp. They don't overcomplicate it, and it just works perfectly every time. So really just in love with this bracelet. So comfort, again, I'm going to start with the Steinhart, and I'm going to give this an 8. It's a very comfortable watch to wear. You can certainly wear this all day long, not worry about taking it off. But it could be a little more comfortable if it were a little slimmer, if maybe it had a little more turn down to the lugs, just little things like that. But I'm nitpicking, it is a very comfortable watch to wear. And the San Martin, I'm giving a 9. This is just very comfortable. Again, it's got the, basically it has what I wish they would have done on the Steinhart. It's slimmer and it's got more turn down to the lugs. Plus it's a millimeter smaller at the actual case. The bezel is 39 millimeters, but the case is 38. So yeah, I just think they did a really good job designing this, and it wears phenomenally well because of that. So next we have lume, and the San Martin gets a 10, Steinhart gets a 9. They're both using C3 Super Luminova, but as you can see, hopefully you can see, the San Martin just has another layer or two applied, and it's just brighter. Plus, I think those applied indices help, because you can apply more layers, and it's definitely brighter. So yeah, 10 to the San Martin, 9 to the Steinhart, both fantastic lume. Next up is finishing, and the Steinhart gets a 9. Finishing on this watch is really good. Polishing is excellent. The brushing is really, really excellent. Matches perfectly the bracelet to the lugs. Just very nice job on the finishing with this watch. All around, every aspect of it. San Martin, it gets a 10. The finishing on these San Martins at the price they're asking is absolutely unbelievable. So this watch is no different, and you can see just from the footage here how good the finishing is. That chamfered edge, that polishing is next to none. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Really good job by San Martin here. I've said it numerous times. Their finishing is just unbelievable for the price they ask. Next up is brand, and Steinhart I'm going to give a 9, and the reason I'm giving this a 9 is because of the fact that among homage watches, Steinhart is one of the top brands. And so I'm not going by comparing Steinhart to other top name brands out there. That's not what I'm doing. This is strictly for homage watches, and I think dealing with homage watches, I'm going to put Steinhart at a 9. The San Martin, I'm going to give a 5. The San Martin is still not very well known. They're a Chinese brand, and they're making a name for themselves. So I think maybe in the next 5 years, we might be talking about San Martin in a different way. But as of right now, they're just not that well known yet, and therefore they get a 5. Next up is value, and I'm going to give the Steinhart a 10. I think the Steinhart is phenomenal value if you can buy it for the price that that Nomen watches charge, which is I think $539. That's a phenomenal price for this watch. This watch has everything you could possibly ask for at that price range, other than the fact that it is paying homage to another watch. So if you can get past that, luckily this is paying homage to a watch that is no longer in production, so you couldn't get it anyway. But you might have a problem with that, and if you do, then this probably isn't the channel for you. So, but yeah, I'm giving the Steinhart a 10 for value. San Martin, I think because of the movements, I have to give this 2 scores. So I think if you choose to get to the PT 5000, I'm going to give it a 7 for value. Reason being is because they're still charging $300 for this watch, or at least around $300, maybe a little less if it's heavily discounted. But with the PT 5000 for $300, yes, this watch is finished and built incredibly well, but I just think the PT 5000 is not well known enough, not tested enough to be charging the prices that they're charging, because they produce watches with the quality of finishing and detail and parts with NH35s for right around the $200, a little over $200 mark. So the fact that they're charging that much more for this with a PT5000 doesn't make sense to me. And a lot of companies are doing this, so San Martin's not the only one. But I just don't know enough about the PT5000 yet to classify it as a superior movement to the NH35, other than the fact that it's high beat and the NH35 isn't. So that's my opinion on that. But this also comes with the Sellita SW200, and if you get it with that, I honestly think that it's a 10 out of 10 value, because it's going to be less money than if you were to get the Steinhart. And no, it doesn't have the Elabore grade, but the Sellita SW200 is still a very well-proven, reliable, fantastic movement, and San Martin also regulate their movements, so you're still going to be getting one that's going to be very accurate. So all in all, I think the San Martin is just a little bit better of a deal, but it's really up to you which one you like better, because they're both phenomenal watches. So all in all, total, we have 87 for the Steinhart, and then we have 82 for the San Martin with the PT5000, and 88 for the San Martin with the SW200. So really close one here, and I think you can't make a bad decision with either one of these watches. Steinhart, like I said, might be harder to find. San Martin is very easy to find, so yeah, just up to you which one you want to try to go with, but both great watches, and I think you'd be happy with either one of them. So final thoughts, guys. Honestly, this was such a difficult comparison because both of these watches are so great in their own way. Steinhart has such a nicely printed dial, and it's got those drilled lugs, and it really gives you that feeling of the vintage Rolex that it was inspired by, and it really does feel premium on your wrist. However, you might have a hard time finding one, but the San Martin's got that smaller case, it's finished slightly better, and it's still less expensive, even if you choose to go with the Sellita movement. So it really comes down to which one you like better, and if you like this style of watch, are you willing to pay more for the Steinhart because of the name on the dial? I personally love both of them, but I urge you to take a closer look at the San Martin if you haven't already. And no, this is not a sponsored video. I bought both of these watches with my own money, and I just like to put honest reviews and comparisons out there for you guys so you can make informed decisions on how to spend your money. Anyway, that's going to wrap up the video today, guys, so go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and hit that bell icon too so you can be notified when I release a new video. Thank you so much for watching today, guys, and remember to keep watching out.